Hi, I'm Anna.
And I'm Lee.
This is the YIMBY Denver Podcast.
Today, we're joined by the fabulous Jill Locantore, who's the Executive Director for the Denver Streets Partnership, a grassroots organization that advocates for the cultural and systemic changes necessary to reduce Denver's unsustainable dependence on cars and to design communities that put people first. Throughout her career, Jill has focused on the intersection of land use and transportation with environmental sustainability, economic development, public health, and social justice issues, and has built a reputation as an important advocate and spokesperson for human-centered transportation and its key role in building healthy communities. Recently, she's been a leading voice advocating for local bus rapid transit projects, including on Colfax Avenue and Colorado Boulevard in Denver. Warm welcome to Jill Locantore.
Yes, thank you, Jill.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So we are going to talk today about BRT and why everyone else is talking about it. Jill, you are the Executive Director of Denver Streets Partnership, and DSP, Denver Streets Partnership, has been an integral part of the Denver community, ensuring we have safe transit, safe bikeways, and so BRT. It's a hot topic right now. So BRT stands for Bus Rapid Transit. And Jill, what did you say? An emphasis on the
rapid is the defining feature of BRT.
So right now, I assume BRT is Denver Streets Partnership's big focus. What else? What have been some of your successes across the years?
If anybody's heard of us, it's probably because of our Denver Deserves Sidewalks initiative.
Yes.
Which shifted responsibility for building and maintaining sidewalks from the adjacent private property owner to the city, just like other basic infrastructure, and established a dedicated funding source so we can build out our sidewalk networks, hopefully in our lifetimes. That's the plan.
That is so fantastic. I don't think I realized that property owners had responsibility for the sidewalks in front of their houses. Learning about that initiative and learning that's how it worked is kind of mind-blowing to begin with. So
yeah,
a lot of property owners didn't know that either until they were stuck with a big bill all of a sudden.
Right.
Yeah, the sidewalks here in Denver are a little wild.
Yeah,
places.
40% of our streets either have no sidewalk at all, or a sidewalk that's too skinny for a person in a wheelchair, or two people walking side by side. So there's large swaths of our city that are basically inaccessible to people trying to walk on foot or by wheelchair.
Well, thank you for your work on that, Jill. That's amazing. 40%, that's wild.
And thank you, Denver voters.
Yeah.
And as someone who uses transit pretty much exclusively and then walks everywhere else, there have been so many times, including just last week, where I'm walking around the city and then the sidewalk just ends. So then I'm walking on the grass or dirt, and I'm wow, this is really, really insane that in a major city in America, the sidewalk just goes away.
Yes.
So thank you personally for spearheading that.
Well, I hope those sidewalks get built for you very quickly.
Yeah.
So BRT, what exactly is BRT?
So rapid is the important word, bus rapid transit. And the intention is to make the experience of using transit much faster and much more like what we expect when we're using rail. So that includes things like having its own dedicated lane. That is the number one most important feature. So it's not stuck in traffic behind other cars. But there's other pieces too that make it rapid. Like you pay your fare before you get on the bus. And then when the bus comes, all of the doors can open simultaneously and you can get on and off every door without having to wait in line to pay the bus driver.
Yes. Okay. So there's going to be outside stations where you can purchase your tickets, or was that called not outside station, but
a station you would expect, if you were using light rail. You enter the station, you pay, and as soon as the train comes, you can just get on and off. Another key piece is level boarding.
Yes.
So that you can walk or roll directly from the sidewalk onto the bus. And again, you don't have to wait for the bus driver to put out a ramp for wheelchair users. All this makes the experience more dignified and pleasant for everybody, but it also really contributes to the rapidity of the service. So transit starts being more competitive to driving because it can get you where you need to go quickly.
Wow, you've sold me. We're 10 seconons in. I'm yes.
I'm let's
we should have done this. We should have done this earlier. I like how you kind of compared it to rail. I feel like people, even, I admittedly I prefer to take the A-line or train system more than the bus. I don't know why. Maybe it feels sexier. And so that should be how that's how we brand BRT. BRTS, sexy. sexy bus rapid transit, maybe more people will get on it, right? If it feels cooler. So it's not just that it's a nicer bus. You kind of talked about some of those features that make it BRT. But where does this model exist in other places?
Yes, so it started internationally. Really in South America, it was the pioneer of bus rapid transit, but now you see it all over the world, including in the US. And, you know, cities that are not too different from Denver. So like Cleveland or Columbus, Ohio, or Minneapolis have been leading the way in implementing bus rapid transit and showing how it really can drive ridership because it is a better form of transit.
I can tell you're going to totally knock the terrible trivia out of the park, Jill. You've already answered like 2 of my questions. So if someone rode BRT tomorrow, what would be some differences they noticed?
Well, number one, they shouldn't have to look at a schedule before going to the station.
That's huge.
Exactly, right? You don't have to pull out a schedule along with your car keys. Like, is my car going to be available in the next 15 minutes?
Yes.
You should be able to take the same approach to transit.
Yes.
I don't have to look up the schedule. I can just go to the station, and I know a bus is going to come within the next 5 minutes, ideally. And then you can be confident that the travel time is predictable and quick to where you need to get to go.
Gosh, I can't wait till it opens. I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but do we have like an estimated open date for the Colfax BRT?
So a partial launch is going to happen later this year.
Okay.
By the end of the year, the construction will wrap up from the section that's downtown to Colorado Boulevard. They'll still be doing construction further east, and so it won't be a full-blown bus rapid transit line, but it'll have a lot of the characteristics. Most importantly, it will have a dedicated lane, and that's really going to speed up the bus in that section of Colfax.
So I was actually running a little late for this recording because my daughter was going to swim practice, so we're on Colfax, and silly me not planning ahead, honestly, like that's the problem. But that's been a huge critique of the Colfax BRT, and it's coming, we're moving forward with the other BRTs scheduled for the city. So how can people balance that short-term pain with long-term benefits? What is some suggestions you might have for them? And me?
Construction is disruptive. There's no way around it. And this is not something that's unique to bus rapid transit. It could be a water main project, or the city could be widening a street by adding more traffic lanes. Any of this type of public infrastructure, when you're building it or upgrading it, it's going to be disruptive. And so the question is, how do you mitigate the disruption, particularly on a street like Colfax, which is truly a main street? There's lots of small, locally owned businesses that we want to survive and be able to benefit from the final project. And one thing that the city is doing now that it has not done previously, and a lot of cities don't do, is actually providing financial assistance directly to those businesses.
Fantastic.
So with the current program, a business has to demonstrate that they've lost a certain amount of revenue, and then they can apply for a grant of up to $15,000.
Oh, that's so good to know. That is
so cool. I love that.
Yeah, you're fueling me with rebuttals to anyone who's like, that's so great. And I'm curious, where does the Denver city administration stand right now on supporting Colfax BRT? Like, where are some maybe glows and grows?
Yeah, I mean, the city's not a monolith, right?
Yeah.
So I think there are a lot of people in the Department of Transportation who are very excited about the bus rapid transit project. It's been in the works for many years. There's a lot of people who are very invested in the success of this project. Our mayor is new to the scene.
Right.
The project was planned and funded by voters before he came into office, and so he's been gradually learning about bus rapid transit since he got into office, and frankly has not been as big of a champion as I would like him to be. I think partly because he's frankly ignorant about the history of where this project came from and the benefits that are going to accrue once it's done. What he's confronted with is the pain of construction and hearing people complain about construction, and he's sort of knee-jerk reacting to that as opposed to helping people understand why the short-term pain will be worth it and what the city is doing to mitigate that pain.
Yeah. And so I wonder if one of the things we can focus on is what kind of person would benefit the most once Colfax BRT is up and running?
I mean, frankly, I think it'll benefit everybody, regardless of whether you're traveling down Colfax by car, walking, trying to get there by bike, or if you own a business, or if you live nearby. It's going to be better for everybody.
Yeah.
It's reorganizing the street in a way that will function better and be more predictable and safer and more pleasant for everybody who's on that corridor. And it'll make it a better Main Street, a place that you actually want to be, not just barrel through at 40 miles an hour, but a place that you want to linger and hang out in. And so it's really going to be beneficial for everybody. It is just a matter of getting through this uncomfortable transition period.
Exactly.
And I think that's the importance of community voices, because politicians are naturally like term focused. So of course he's worried about what's happening during his term, about getting reelected, and all of those very personalized concerns. But then the people who are in the community like have a different perspective and different needs. So I appreciate that note about like, even though he may not be as supportive as we would hope, that doesn't mean that the project is flawed.
Yeah.
And hopefully he'll be a convert too once the construction wraps up and sees how much better the street is now than before.
Maybe we can invite him on the like maiden travel bus.
Oh yeah.
We'd be like, Mayor, join us on this BRT.
Isn't this so much nicer? Have you ever written the 15 originally?
Yes. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
As someone who has quite a bit, like I'm excited for that one, because then I'll know how it feels and how much better it is. But like, even for people who haven't, it's like, trust me, this is something that we've needed for a long time.
A long time, yeah. So looking throughout this process, I remember when this first rolled out, getting community feedback on Colfax BRT many years ago. It seems like it's been underway for a while. So I'm glad that we, we're here. We're so close. We're so close to the finish line. What lessons has the Colfax BRT project taught us?
I do think the amount of planning that was done before the project was launched really helped create a vision for what we were trying to do with the corridor. I mean, it was a lot of planning. It was literally probably 20 years of discussion.
20 years?
Yeah.
Have you been involved this whole time?
Well, I did move to Denver in 2006 and started getting involved as just
happy 20th anniversary.
A nearby resident. So
Jill, you're amazing. Like so much perseverance. And
yes,
to
definitely that's one of the lessons is it takes perseverance and patience to implement projects that are this transformative in scale. And it takes many conversations over the years about what is our vision for this corridor and what are ways that we can achieve that. And I think that's why Colfax will be the gold standard of what bus rapid transit should look like, because that'll be the payoff of that many years of discussion leading up to it. I think we're also learning the value of having organizations like business improvement districts. There are multiple business improvement districts along this stretch of Colfax, and they've been instrumental in helping those businesses weather the construction period, really being an advocate for the businesses, making sure they're well informed of what's going on, being troubleshooters for them, helping them apply for that grant funding.
Absolutely. Like we support small businesses. We want them here. It makes the city more fun, right? And so we don't want these businesses to struggle in these moments, right? And so that's lovely that these BIDs, business improvement districts, exist.
Happy 20th anniversary of living in Denver.
Thank you.
And I just think that kind of involvement is so special because it outlasts any administration. You know,
yes,
how many mayors have come and gone?
I feel like I've become the local historian who remembers. Like, let me tell you where this bus rapid transit project came from. It started with conversations about reviving a streetcar, and then we started thinking more imaginatively about, well, if it's not a streetcar, what could it be? And we studied all kinds of different alternatives, and that's how we arrived at bus rapid transit being actually the most cost-efficient way to achieve the outcomes that everybody was seeking. People who are just joining the conversation now don't know that's the history,
the history of it.
How we got there. So now I'm the historian.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, it's so
We'll come to you
important.
for many questions, I'm sure. And it's funny, think of any major city you've visited, be it in the United States, be it abroad, South America, Europe, like the BRTs exist everywhere. And so it's almost an integral part of making a city walkable and enjoyable to be in. So The Colorado BRT project is currently in planning with community engagement expected to shape the final design. The original or the first survey has just ended. And because I've lived in many neighborhoods in Denver, I've gotten lots of emails from RNOs across the city asking people to fill out this survey. And as we know, there have been criticisms about BRT. People generally, as Lee and you've discussed, people are generally scared of change. That's just a human nature thing. And people, especially who maybe aren't used to taking the bus, don't see the value in it. So unfortunately, the results have been posted, and it looks like 67.5% of respondents support a no-build option, which is saying basically not. So it was interesting how the language of the survey came. Like the support a no-build, which means I don't support BRT, right? Like so it's and so I think, you know, and as we find out, sometimes these survey results, right, they're only taking into consideration people who live around that area. And if you look at Colorado, if you are not in Denver, just to describe it, when you drive down one of the largest streets in Denver, on either side is only single family zoned. It's far and few between that you're going to pass a lot of businesses, especially where they were asking for results. So they're asking people in Congress Park, Hilltop, Park Hill, Mayfair is one I think as well. And so, so Jill, I'm hoping we can separate today some myth from reality and look at some of these concerns people have expressed in these surveys in case another one opens up, in case there's more options for us to voice why we like BRT. So I'm going to give you a chance to address them. And if you, listener, have some of these concerns, I hope it answers your question. Or if you know someone who doesn't like BRT, so maybe send them this over. And Jill, she's already convinced me, so I hope she can convince you.
Feel free to argue about it with us in the comments.
We love art. No, we don't.
I love arguing. I will argue with you. So what I have here is the concerns from the residents who took these local surveys and are in support of a no-build option on Colorado Boulevard. So I'm going to read you 5 points and give you a chance to address them directly. So concern number 1, reducing travel lanes will increase traffic congestion and divert cars onto neighborhood side streets.
A fundamental rule of transportation planning that is counterintuitive but has been proven true over and over and over again is that if you increase capacity, that will induce more people to drive.
Right.
And congestion will immediately return within a few years back to the same level it was before you spent however hundreds of millions or billions of dollars widening the street. The converse is also true. If you take away capacity, people will change their behaviors and drive less, especially if in the process of taking away capacity for cars, you're improving other ways of getting down that corridor. People will actually shift from driving to using transit, but they'll also make other changes. They may change the time of day that they decide to drive, or they may decide to combine trips and be more efficient rather than, running out to the store for that one stick of butter. Maybe that's not the most important reason for them to drive. And so the amount of cars on the road is not a fixed amount that we have to accommodate. And if we take away space, they're inherently going to go someplace else. The amount of cars on the road is actually responsive to the amount of space for cars on the road.
That is fantastic.
And if you look at what's happening today, it is congested today.
Yeah.
And our population is continuing to grow. There's more development happening on Colorado Boulevard. If we don't give people options other than driving, then we are going to get more and more cars on the adjacent streets. But if we actually give people a better option for getting down Colorado Boulevard and a way to move more people in the same amount of space, so a car can only hold 1 to 4 people, a bus can hold 20, 30 people in a not much bigger space. And so by actually reorganizing the street to move more people in less space, that will help prevent diversion of traffic to the adjacent side streets. So I would argue that the status quo and doing nothing is the most likely scenario to drive vehicular traffic to the adjacent side streets. And it's by improving transit on Colorado Boulevard that you're going to keep people traveling down Colorado Boulevard.
And this isn't a new argument.
No, we've known this for decades. I mean, this is the crazy thing. Like, we have been widening roads for decades, and we have learned this lesson over and over and over again. But because it's counterintuitive, a lot of your average person who's not deeply informed about transportation policy don't know that this is the reality, and it doesn't make sense to them because it is counterintuitive.
That's the idea of induced demand, right?
That's exactly it. I try not to use the words induced demand because it's wonky and like, what does that mean? But then the opposite of induced demand has a sexier name. It's traffic evaporation.
Oh!
Like, traffic will actually evaporate if you take away space for cars.
And
so
I never
basically,
knew that.
if you want more cars, make more space for cars. If you want fewer cars, make less space for cars.
Yeah. I love that. I never knew about traffic evaporation. That is fantastic.
Yeah, and we see that argument also with housing. So when a house, or not necessarily a house, but like a larger complex, missing middle townhome, missing middle three-story unit goes up, people constantly cite traffic concerns as a reason to say no to that house. And so it's just over and over and over again. The more people we have in a town living there, the less traffic we have all over the place. I mean, look at the traffic entering Boulder. All the suburbs that exist because Boulder had such harsh rules against housing. So it's just, again, counterintuitive, right? The more people you actually have in the town, the less traffic is going to be around it for people constantly going in and out.
Love it. Concern number 2 from the community. From our friends and neighbors. This city has not adequately engage the community and risks changing the neighborhood's character without enough public input.
You know, you could do an infinite amount of public engagement, and there would still be people who would say, but wait, I wasn't told about this. Nobody asked me my opinion, especially when you're talking about a city that has 700,000 people in it. It is literally impossible to ask every single person to weigh in, and you're not going to have 100% support for anything. So the question is always like, has there been enough community engagement, and is there enough support that's somewhere short of 100%? Because that's an unrealistic bar. And the reality is, Denver has done extensive planning around both land use and transportation over the last 5 years through the development of Blueprint Denver, an updated comprehensive plan for the city, the Denver Moves Everyone strategic transportation plan, and has asked people over and over and over again what they want. And there's a lot of consensus on the outcomes that people say they want. They want to have more transportation options. They don't want to have to drive everywhere they go. They want our streets to be safer so that we're seeing fewer traffic fatalities and serious injuries. They want our streets to be more beautiful and livable and pleasant places to be. The bus rapid transit will help achieve all of those outcomes. So you could argue about, have we done enough to ask people specifically about this bus rapid transit on this particular street? But there's already years and years of community engagement that have identified transit as a key part of what our residents want and the kind of livability they want to have in our city. There's very good reasons why Colorado Boulevard is top of the list. It is one of the most heavily trafficked corridors. That's exactly where you want high capacity transit. It's where there's a lot of people trying to travel along that corridor. So, you know, I think some people might feel like we should have more conversation, but the reality is we've had years and years of conversation about it.
And I think of the trains even that meet close to Colorado. So you have the A line to the airport and then the E line down I-25. And so thinking of a fast bus that can connect all those trains together as well.
As well as the Colfax BRT.
Exactly.
The value of bus rapid transit increases exponentially when it's actually a network, because nobody just wants to go up and down one street and they never need to go anywhere else, right? You always want to basically combine some east-west route and some north-south route to get where you need to go. And so the more we have of those gridded routes throughout the city, the more useful the transportation system is for everybody.
And so seeing that interconnectedness between housing and transit, again, this argument of enough community engagement there hasn't been enough is also a classic argument against why housing shouldn't be built for people. And so thank you for such an eloquent answer. I'm going to keep that in my back pocket.
Yeah, so will I, because, I just joined the Land Use and Transportation Committee at the WWPNA, West Flash Park Neighborhood Association. So, stepping into kind of a role similar to yours, but, of course, so many years behind, I'm, learning that lesson in real time being the chair of the committee, because there's so many, disconnects between the outcome that people want and, how we actually get there. So people say the same thing in West Flash Park all the time, but then when you propose something like the Alameda Lane repurposing project, then people are up in arms about losing a lane.
Yeah.
So it's just
I want the streets to be safer, but not that way. Right. There's some other way we want to make the streets safer.
Yeah.
Love that.
I wonder if Alameda would get BRT down the road.
It is. So Denver, like I said, we've been planning for, our strategic transportation network for years, and Denver has identified here are the top candidate corridors for bus rapid transit. And it is, not just Colfax, Federal, and Colorado, which are getting all the attention right now, but it's the Spear-Leedsdale corridor, it's the Alameda corridor, it's the 38th Avenue corridor.
The what avenue?
38th Avenue, and then Park Avenue, connecting down to Colfax.
Oh my gosh!
So imagine this, if you took the BRT on Colfax, and then you could get off at Park Avenue, and you could take it all the way up into Northwest Denver.
Yeah.
How amazing would that be?
Yeah, it would be amazing. And it would give our kids independence. It would give our seniors independence. It'd give people who can't afford the crazy cost of cars another option.
It would open up economic opportunity. That's why cities like New York are so powerful, because people can get places.
Exactly, and you don't have to spend $15,000 a year on your form of transportation, which is the average that people are spending these days on each car that they own, and each household usually has more than one car because that is the only way they can get around right now.
I love how excited we're getting over buses.
I'm honestly so excited, and I'm thinking about if you didn't spend $15,000 on your car, what would you spend it on?
You would probably spend it at local businesses, hopefully.
Oh, I was thinking vacations on the
Actually,
beach.
The research shows it does, that money you don't spend on a car is spent locally.
Love it.
Whereas the money you spend on a car, you're sending to car companies that may be based in Japan, right?
Yeah.
Well,
or you're paying for gas that ultimately is creating
a war right now.
Companies in the Middle East.
Yes.
Whereas if you're not spending that money on transportation, you likely are more going out to eat and to coffee shops at your local businesses. And so it really does shift that wealth locally rather than sending it out to other parts of the world.
Love it.
I love that. So excited. So community concern number 3, the proposed changes could create new safety issues for drivers, pedestrians, and cyclists.
It is exactly the opposite. Colorado Boulevard, as is Colfax Avenue, as is Federal Boulevard, are all part of our high injury network, which are the small subset of streets where the vast majority of traffic fatalities and serious injuries are happening. And the reason for that is that those streets are currently designed like highways to move as many cars as fast as possible. And in urbanized areas, that's just inherently unsafe. Having hunks of metal that weigh many thousands of pounds traveling at 40, 50 miles per hour, death and carnage is inevitable.
Yeah.
And so the way you make these streets safer is you have to transform them from highways to truly people-friendly main streets. And the bus is actually an excellent way to do that. Because by giving the bus its own dedicated lane and thereby reducing the number of general purpose traffic lanes, you're actually just inherently reinforcing safer, slower speeds on those remaining lanes. And you're shortening the exposure that people outside of cars have to that traffic, because to get from one side of the street to the other today, you're often going 100 feet across 6 to 8 lanes of high-speed traffic. especially with center running BRT, like they're building on Colfax and a dedicated bus lane, now all of a sudden you might only have to cross 1 or 2 lanes of traffic to get to a safe place in the middle of the street to wait. That traffic on those lanes is likely going to be slower.
Yes.
And you have a more critical mass of people walking to and from the bus, and so drivers are more aware because there's just more people on the street. And so it truly makes the street safer for everybody.
It's funny because like the entire purpose, that's actually how I envision BRT, is increasing safety for both pedestrian and cars. Because like that's the whole purpose. You have a dedicated lane. When a pedestrian gets off, they have a dedicated space to be getting off, walking across the street and stuff. So it's interesting how people have had that as a major concern. Like I said, almost 68% of people like listed that as one of the top 5 concerns.
I will say this, having taken multiple classes on survey design in both undergrad and graduate studies, like it really, really matters how questions are worded, the population that's being surveyed, and of course the intentions of the people writing the survey. Like even if you, like I used to study other studies that like they ran one version and then they ran another version, and the overall sentiment could be wildly different among a very similar population. Just wording like one question differently.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because I want to make sure our listeners aren't like getting scared by saying, 68% of Denverites. That's not the number. It's 68% of the people who took this survey.
And specifically worded survey.
Exactly. And when I looked at like the email sent out about asking people to take this survey, 2 of the 3 R&O emails I got said, "Aren't you worried about traffic? Fill out this survey."
And that sets the precedent before you even click into it.
Before you even click into it. So, it's important that we are all aware of this, like, and share out the correct information.
And just continue having conversations,
Yeah.
So you understand how people in your neighborhood really feel, as opposed to just like relying on all of these random statistics that people pull out of nowhere.
Yes.
But you were going to say something.
I was going to say too, I'm not sure I've seen the exact same summary of survey results you have, but I do know the survey didn't ask people to like rank the different options that were on the table or select, I want this one, not that one. They just asked them to express how strongly they supported each option.
Yeah.
So they asked people, would you support the no build option? And you could select, I strongly support it, I somewhat support it, I somewhat oppose it, I strongly oppose it. And they asked that question separately about center running BRT, side running BRT, and this mixed flow option, which is not BRT. It's just like some nicer sidewalks and stuff like that.
Yeah, which is kind of what we have now. Yeah.
The results that I've seen were like, yes, there was a substantial number of people who said, I would somewhat or strongly support the no build option. But there were also a strong number of people who said, I would strongly or somewhat support the center running BRT. And the one that had the least opposition was the side running BRT out of all of the options. So it all depends. It's not only how you ask the question, but it's how do you share the results and how are you interpreting what those results are telling us.
So that's a good point, actually. I got it off of, I think it was I looked at the Congress Park one email that sent out the results, but it didn't link the results, and so that's why I kind of looked at it. But it was a summary.
I wonder, was it a CDOT survey, or did the neighborhood itself do its own survey?
I thought this was the CDOT survey, but gosh, I'm curious now. Yeah. And that's the thing, right? Right. And so it's not just asking the survey; it's interpreting the survey, it's releasing those results. Ultimately, what our goal here is to ensure that any of these arguments you may or may not have heard, you have an answer to. If you yourself have a concern like this, you are self-equipped with the correct one. And so, Jill, the fact that you've been involved in this for so many years and we're so happy for you to share your expertise on these.
So this one I think we already sort of addressed, but just for completeness, the project lacks sufficient planning, impact studies, and evidence that BRT will achieve its promised benefits.
Yeah, BRT is not new. Right. It's been implemented all over the world, and when done well, meaning it's actually rapid.
Keyword rapid,
Mixed flow with the buses stuck in congestion with everything else is not rapid. It's been very successful, and you have seen an increase in ridership. And then we haven't had BRT yet here in Denver. But we've had some light versions of it, like on Broadway. It has a dedicated bus lane. It doesn't have all the features of bus rapid transit, like you still have to pay the driver your fare when you're boarding the bus. And
not level boarding.
But we have seen, both with the dedicated bus lane and the dedicated bike lane, reducing the number of general purpose lanes on Broadway. Safety has improved.
Yeah, 10,000%.
And so we have that evidence. And Broadway is one of the highest used transit routes in the entire city, which again speaks to when you make the bus rapid and reliable with a dedicated lane, people will actually use it. So it's kind of false to say we need to keep doing study after study after study.
When we have plenty of evidence to support that this works. Plenty of evidence. Jill, I'm curious, have you talked to any bus drivers that have used dedicated? Like, I want to know what the bus drivers think. Like, how is their life different when they are, rolling out the wheelchair ramp, taking bus fare, and then also like when they have their own dedicated lane? Like, their life has to be easier when they're not competing with cars all the time.
Exactly, and actually part of our broader coalition that's advocating for transit improvements more generally, not just bus rapid transit, but also funding for more frequent service and all the things that make transit better. The local transit operators union, the ATU, is very supportive of all of these ways of making the transit system more effective. A lot of them care deeply. Like, they see people who really depend on transit to get where they need to go, to get to their job, to get to medical appointments, to get to school, and how important the service is for those people. And they want to be able to provide, reliable, high quality service. And part of the benefit of when you really do increase ridership is it reduces a lot of the safety concerns that bus drivers end up having to deal with when, the only people who are riding the bus are people who maybe are experiencing homelessness, and it's the only safe place and warm place they have to go. And that inevitably comes with some issues, and the bus driver ends up spending more of their time being a social worker than a bus driver. But if you really radically increase ridership, it addresses a lot of those safety issues just by having lots of people and lots of eyes on the street and on the buses, and it allows the bus drivers to do their job, which is what they want to do.
Thank you again so much for answering all these questions. I feel, again, I hope you feel just as prepared as I do when hearing any of these concerns. We're going to transition now to our terrible trivia. Why is it terrible? Because I am terrible at coming up with appropriate questions. Are they easy? Are they hard? We're going to find out.
It's not terrible. It's unpredictable. You never really know what you're going to get.
All right. First question, multiple choice. Which city, again, you kind of already answered this. Which city is widely credited with inventing the modern bus rapid transit system? Bogota, Colombia, Curitiba, Brazil, or London, England?
I think Colombia. Bogota?
Yeah, I should know this. I know it's either Curitiba or Bogota, but I forget which one came first.
Curitiba! I didn't even know. I've never actually heard of Curitiba, Brazil. I know.
Well,
Bogota.
That's the problem with, Americans. We're so ignorant about what the rest of the world is doing. And so resistant to learning the lessons that they've already learned on our behalf. But if we paid a little bit more attention.
And why we have terrible trivia, right?
Curitiba,
not just Sao Paulo, right? That's what place I think of. Interesting.
So 1 point for Jill.
1 point for Jill. On average, what is the second largest household expense for Americans?
Their car, their transportation.
Very good. Yeah, so transportation is classically where we spend almost all of our money. After housing, it goes to our cars. It's a transportation, to the cost of keeping our car up. So again, I want you to ask yourself, what would you do if you didn't have to spend $15,000 a year on your car?
And they're interrelated. The whole drive to qualify, like if we push all the affordable housing out to the far-flung suburbs, you might save money on your housing costs, but your transportation costs will go up. Conversely, you might be able to afford more house or a nicer house if you had lower transportation costs.
Which, I'd advocate less is more, right? We're all like getting such these large.
Speaking of like Americans, these like big old necessary houses.
Yeah.
Like, so many people do so much with less around the world.
Yeah, exactly. And like you can still have luxury, what you want. If it's luxury,
you can still be
great.
Comfortable.
Yes, thank you. You can still be truly. All right. Multiple choice. What feature gives many BRT buses an advantage over regular traffic? They're allowed to exceed the speed limit. They often receive priority at traffic signals. They can drive on sidewalks.
I think it's C.
That's why we're investing in sidewalks, so the buses have someplace to go. Clearly.
Unpredictable.
It is the traffic signal priority.
Yes, they have priority at traffic signals.
They get the green light, and they get to keep going, which is great.
Don't you want the green light? I do. It's like my favorite. Oh, I got the green light. Okay. Studies consistently show that people who live in walkable, transit-friendly neighborhoods tend to...
Oh, is this open-ended?
Open-ended question.
I know they vote more.
Ooh.
And they're more civically engaged.
Oh.
I love that.
Let's
That makes sense, though.
Let's just tell me everything. If it matches my answer, great. If there's a lot of potential.
Wait, repeat the question again.
Studies consistently show that people who live in walkable, transit-friendly neighborhoods tend to...
Okay, so tend to vote more, tend to be more connected to their communities.
Yes.
Spend more at local businesses.
Yes.
They weigh less.
Ooh, healthier. Shall we say more?
You should write a book.
I think a lot of people have already written these books. I just read them.
Exactly. And spend less on transportation. So spending less money. I guess you could say even saving more money. Yeah. We'll just give everyone a point for that.
I love
5
that.
points everywhere. Final question. The rapid and BRT. Which of these is not a feature of commonly found in the BRT systems? A dedicated bus lane, platform level boarding, or free parking?
Free parking.
Free parking for the buses.
Yes. So, and that might be why some people have been concerned. Like, oh, well, how am I supposed to get to the BRT if I can't park my car there? And that's defeating the purpose, right? So BRT is or any dedicated bus lane, rapid bus transit is trying to reduce space for the car. And ideally, we are creating a system, a network, so that you don't have to have your car.
And it's true, the Colfax BRT will reduce the amount of on-street parking on the corridor. So we actually partnered with a bunch of the neighborhood associations and business districts on the corridor to do a study of the parking situation on Colfax. And we found there's actually plenty of parking. Most of it is off-street.
Yeah.
And most of it is wildly underutilized. And we also found that people were, willing to walk a few blocks from their parking spot to their final destination. So it didn't need to be on the street right in front of the business. They were perfectly happy to park in a parking lot a few blocks away. And also people are willing to pay more for parking if they know the revenues will be reinvested in things that make transit, walking, and biking better in the community.
Wow. You sure have read a lot of books on this. Yeah. So looking forward, so even though at the moment community engagement is closed for Colorado BRT, Colfax is a few months away from opening up. What are some things people can do to support BRT, to get more involved in a safer transit system in their city?
On this and on any topic, one of the best things you can do is reach out to your elected officials and let them know that you want this. Mostly elected officials hear from people who are mad and are opposing something. And people who are happy or just like, yeah, this is fine, I think this would be good, are less motivated often to reach out to their elected officials. So it's really important when you are happy and you actually want something to happen as opposed to not happen for your elected officials to hear from you.
Is there a specific type of elected official? So state rep, city council person, maybe higher up?
In the case of these particular projects, letting the Denver mayor know that you support them is really helpful. And I think he's less familiar with the perspective of people who really do want options other than driving and would really benefit from hearing from more of those people. RTD has an important role to play, and I think a lot of people don't realize they have an elected representative on the RTD board.
So you know what I'm going to do? I think you really, because I have that problem too. I feel like I'm engaged, involved, and when I'm happy, I'm like, I'm happy, right? So I know I myself can do better of supporting things that are underway. So I think what I'm going to do is send this episode to the mayor, to my RTD director, and my council person. Is that a good idea?
That is amazing.
Okay. And in the beginning stages of Colfax BRT, YIMBY actually hosted a beer crawl, or a bar crawl. Oh my goodness, a bar crawl where we went to local businesses supporting Colfax BRT. And if you weren't drinking anything, many places also had food, non-alcoholic options. So I suppose we'll be doing that again. So make sure you're following YIMBY. You'll get our emails when we have these types of events. We'd love to see you. Jill, thank you. So I was telling Lee, I was like, I know Jill. I've seen Jill around. We've chit-chatted, but I've never really sat down to talk to you. So I'm so grateful you're here today. It's been lovely. I'm just so impressed with your knowledge. So
we're grateful for your expertise.
Always happy to come back.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to the YIMBY Denver Podcast, where we say yes to people, yes to housing, and yes to real stories. See you next time.
Thanks, you. Bye.